What's good, Dr. Caroline Clerisme? Welcome to Docs Outside the Box. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So what's good is what I say to my doctors too. That's too funny. I
You
say
say
what's
what's good or
good.
you say sac
I
passe?
do. I say what's good.
You sure? So for those who are listening, Dr. Clerisme is from Haiti. My wife, Renee, Dr. Renee, she's from Haiti also, and they speak Creole, obviously, and the way how you, I guess, introduce yourself to people or just say what's up to people, how we say what's up, how you doing, chilling, blah, blah, blah. You guys say sac passe. So that's what I was
Yes.
asking. Is that what you say?
No, I should really say what's good. But I might need to switch it up now.
So so how do you introduce, like if you were to talk to me in Creole and just say, hey, what's up? How do you say that?
So sac passe, and you would respond nambule,
What does
which
Naboule
is
say?
it means so literally means that we're burning, which makes no sense. It just means that we're doing good. But if
Ah,
but I'm sure your wife told you that. It makes no sense to say nabule because it means we're burning, or it
I
just
love it.
means I'm doing good.
I love it. So listen, guys, when you listen to Docs Outside the Box, you're not going to just learn about money, mindset, and mission. You're also going to get an education in different languages that are out there. So Dr. Caroline, thank you so much for that. Now listen,
Love it.
besides being an expert at Creole and being an expert as an amazing dentist, you also are a debt repayment strategist, right? So what that means is basically you help doctors, you help veterinarians, you help pharmacists, you help professionals in general who have a lot of debt, you help them get out of it. So we have you on this show to talk about, some of the strategies that people who are listening right now can kind of take for themselves and listen and find out how can they get out of debt and maybe even start to build a certain type of lifestyle that they may want, do the whole generational wealth, quote unquote, that we always hear people talk about. So let's jump into this, right? So you got students that you work with online, virtually, who are, like I just said, professionals who are trying to get out of debt and try to get that lifestyle that they want. So let's jump into it. What's the key strategy that you teach them in terms of trying to get out of debt?
The key strategy for me has been to show them exactly, or for them to know exactly how much money they make and how much money they spend. So pretty much budgeting, the B word that a lot of people don't like.
Everybody
It's
hates
so
that word. It's
important.
boring.
I know, but it's so important to actually know how much money you make, how much money you spend. And as dentists, sometimes it's hard for a few people because some dentists work as independent contractors, meaning you don't know if you're going to be seeing 2 patients that day or 20 patients. You
I
get
didn't
paid
know
on
that a dentist
production.
could work 1099 also.
Yes, yes, some of them. And sometimes you get, you don't know if you're going to get paid on production, collection, you don't know. So again,
Mm.
if you're salaried, it's definitely easier to know how much money you make. But sometimes you don't know. It's very important to go back to your bank statements and look at exactly what you're spending, look at your 1099s, your W-2s, everything to actually know how much you're making and work those numbers. Again, there's nothing like budgeting to know exactly how much money extra that could be going towards debt or towards investing.
You know, I All right, I'm going to be honest with you. So I hated budgeting, just the whole concept of budgeting
I love it. I'm a
prior to
nerd.
me and Renee paying off our debt. As a resident, I was making like $45,000 a year. And for me, I was like, oh, I made it. And I would do like this mental math where, I was just like, I'm sure I got the money to cover X, Y, and
Hmm.
Z. I'm just hoping that by the end of the month, I don't overdraft, right?
Yes.
And I just continued that behavior after residency into fellowship, and then even early on in our marriage, I would just be like, budget smudget. Like, who wants to do a budget? I just feel like it's so restricting. But once we started to budget, I actually felt like it was freeing, right? Like there was this less sweat that I had knowing that, okay, I know exactly where my money is going to. So I agree with what you're saying, where it's important to know what's coming in, and just like it's important to know what's going out. But
Mhm.
like, what do you do with that next? Like, what's the next step after knowing what's coming in and what's coming out? Why is
So
that so important for them?
So the thing that's important too is that a lot of people they get, even my students, during my course, sometimes they will come all overwhelmed and be like, I don't know how to budget. What do I do? So I tell them about what I did. So first I started with mint.com. It's just a
Mint.com. A lot
budgeting.
of that was a starting point for a lot of people.
It's nice. And I started using that in college actually. But even after dental school, I still used it. And
Dr.
it's a,
Clerisme, how old are you? Because Mint's been out for a
what?
minute. Wait,
Can I answer that question?
no, I
You
can't.
see
I
my
can't answer
gray
that.
hair, right?
No, no. But wait. Since
I'm like
college?
waving to 40.
Really? Okay. All right. I shouldn't ask. I should know my manners. But anyway, you've been using Mint since
No,
you were
it's fine.
40.
But So Mint.com, it really, really helps. And people who don't know what Mint.com is, it's pretty much a budgeting software and pretty much helps you to really see what you're spending every month, where your money is going every month. And it helps you set goals as well, because goal setting is huge too. But some people don't like that, because even at some point I'm like, you know what? Good old pen and paper, that's what works for me. So I would literally print a spreadsheet of all of my expenses, and I would go back to my bank statements probably 3 months, 6 months, just to see how much money I spent on every category, and then just look at my monthly income, and then minus my expenses, I would give me a number. If I have a surplus, I'll just put that towards debt or investing.
What do you think is the biggest culprit? For me, it was food. Like we would spend money at the hospital, which came out to like, I can't remember, but it was exorbitant. And then we would buy groceries, like which were perishables, and we weren't cooking it because we were at work all the time. So it's like we're spending all this money on fast food at work, and then we're spending all this money, to quote unquote cook at home, and then they would all perish. And it's like almost like $800 a month of just either not healthy food or food that we just wasn't eating and stuff.
I know. For me, it was food as well. Food, and now Amazon. I don't know. It's so easy to buy everything on Amazon. And even one of my clients, Dr. Dahlia, so when we really went through the budgeting, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I have been spending like $1,000 on food. I didn't realize that." So budgeting really helps, because thanks to budgeting, now she was able to find some extra money to pay off the debt, to pay off more debt, to have a good emergency fund, and even start investing in property. So budgeting helps, really.
So now that they're using either Mint.com, so everybody, Mint.com is a program that you sign up. It's free. You connect your accounts to it, whatever your bank account is or wherever you keep money, and then it can tell like how much money you're bringing in, what is income, and it can also tell what you're spending money on, and it will tell you like what's being, what happens at the end of the month, and then go from there. I think one of the more powerful things from just budgeting in general, or just keeping track of what you're spending, is you start to realize, like, do I really need to spend X on Y, right? Like, do I need to really spend like $800 on groceries when it's just me by myself, or just me and my spouse, or me and like, you start to have to look at certain things and realize, okay, well, maybe can we get away with $600 a month on food, and then use that additional $200 for an emergency savings plan, or maybe I can not spend so much on gas, and do this, right? Is that kind of, am I saying it right?
Absolutely.
Is that how you teach it? Yeah.
Absolutely. And even everything has to go on but even my student loan balances, I will put that. Actually, I'll tell you a story. One day I was driving down 93 North. I'm in the Northeast. I was driving down 93 North, and I realized that, wait, it's like I had a light bulb moment out of nowhere. So you mean to tell me, if instead of spending $3,000, $5,000, $6,000 towards my student loans on Salome, I could be putting that money towards the stock market or crowdfunding, syndication, any other avenues pretty much, and that could double or whatever it is my money. So for me, that was definitely like, okay, I am done. I'm done with all this debt. So again, just to show you, budgeting will definitely push you to achieve your goals even quicker.
So what did you do? Because I'm really interested. So did you aggressively pay off your debt, or did you pay off your debt and also invest, or did you slow down? Okay, so tell us the plan that you did. Like, how did you manage? Because that oftentimes becomes an issue for people, where they're like, well, yeah, I want to pay off my debt, but my debt may be 2%. Like, so some of the OGs like us who went to med school in the early 2000s, you could consolidate your debt, right? So,
yes.
If you're paying off debt at 2%, maybe you can not go aggressive and try to save more, or buy some property. So talk to us. What'd you do?
So I had $250,000 in student loans in 2011 from Tufts, and I got a job at the health center that was less than 6 figures. Crazy. I know. I was like, this doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. How am I going to do
So
this?
The folks who are now watching on YouTube, you should have just seen my eyes. Like, wait, what? I thought it was guaranteed that dentists make 6 figures.
Now they do, but 10 years ago, no.
Really?
No.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this doesn't add up. I have to figure this out. So I realized that there's
go find them cavities.
Yes, there's so many options out there, though. So many loan payment programs. There's refinancing. There's so many options out there that you can do. So for me, I did loan payment options. So I got $50,000 working at a health center for 2 years. I was able to put that towards the debt. and also aggressively paying as well. But I still invested. You must still invest.
What'd you
I
invest in?
mean,
Talk to us about that.
stock market.
So you went
That's
into
what
the
I did,
stock
the stock
market?
market.
Okay.
Yes. And also a little bit, and then crowdfunding was a little bit later when I was pretty much done, but stock market. Oh,
When you say
yes.
crowdfunding, what is that? Explain that to people. So is that like crowdfunding for real estate?
For real estate, exactly. If you're not, because real estate can be a little bit expensive. Yes, they always say that you can start investing in real estate with little to no money down. But there are other ways where you don't need to have a bunch of money to invest in real estate. Crowdfunding, you can start, I think it's about $1,000 minimum, and you start investing, and then you start enjoying the passive income quarterly, sometimes even every month. I get that little email, you've been paid, is the best thing ever.
Now,
Uh,
so for the folks who work with you or the people who come and they approach you, I know you mentioned that there are times where you have students who don't know what to do. They don't even know where to start. They feel overwhelmed. How do you get them to, even before budgeting, how do you get them to kind of just take a deep breath and just say, okay, this is where I need to go, or this is where I am, and this is where I need to go, right? Because I'm sure it's more than just paying off debt. How do you get them to what they really want? Talk to us about that like
so goal
reasoning.
setting is
Yeah.
very important because everybody will say, I want to be out of debt. I want to be out of debt. But why? Because out of debt is not. So let's say like if right now you are debt free, what are you going to be doing? So just to show you it's not the end goal, what is your end goal? Is it just to reduce your hours from dentistry or medicine? Do you want to just retire from dentistry or medicine? Do you want to have passive income, 10, 15, $20,000 every month? Because all that is going to help you to really see how you can pay off the debt quicker. It's going to show you how you can even pay the debt. Are you going to use loan repayment programs, PSLF, passive income from real estate? Should you be investing a little bit more aggressively so you can have even more passive income to apply towards student loans and reinvest the money at the same time? There's so many ways to pay off the debt. But again, it's so important to know where you're going. What is your vision? What is your goal? Again,
Yeah.
debt freedom is great, but it's never the end goal. There's always something else that you want to do
Yeah.
when you are debt free.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think from us, our why was, my wife, as you already know, she's from Haiti, but like immigrant families are very close, right? And my family's from Ghana, and because we couldn't afford to live in the New York, New Jersey area, we had to move out, like
Mm-hmm.
in the really far out, and we just wanted to be closer to home. But also at the same time, we wanted more control of our career, and we felt like
Mm-hmm.
if we had this huge debt on our back, there's certain compromises that we just would have to make in order to make sure that we had a constant income coming in. So that was our why. And I think it's important for the audience to know that, what Dr. Clerisme is saying is excellent, right? Like there's going to be times where you get weak. There's going to be times where you feel like it's not worth it. There's going to be times where you're just like, what is the end goal of this? And you have to fall back on your why. Like, I just want to be closer to family, or I just want to build I want to have something where I can reduce my hours, like getting out of debt or saving or whatever this is. You got to have that big why, that big vision statement. So I love that. So, here's one thing that I know you specifically say that you want to help people build generational wealth. First of all, what is generational wealth? And talk to us like, how do you start that?
So generational wealth is wealth that you can pass down to your kids, grandkids, and it just keep going down. And
If they're deserving, right? Because
unfortunately,
some kids are crazy, right? Like they better be deserving.
unfortunately, you're too funny. Research has shown that usually after the fourth generation, the wealth does not go down to the next generation. So it's very important to not just pass down the wealth, but also pass down the financial literacy. So, and I think that's another reason why I started writing children's books, and I have a children's book coming out, talking to pretty much showing kids how to have financial literacy. It's called Lily. I have a daughter. Her name is Olivia. I named her Lily, so it's called Lily in the Piggy
It's
Bank.
a pretty
So pretty
name,
much,
Olivia.
thank you. So showing literally every single step to get to generational wealth because it's so important to not just pass down the wealth, but also the financial literacy. How do you? Why should you get out of debt quicker? Why should you invest in real estate and the stock market and cryptocurrency? Like why should you have a diversified portfolio? All those things. And generational wealth is key to be able to have, to me at least, to have financial peace. Because I
What's
would
the first
hate to.
step? What's the first step for generational wealth? What is that? Is that what are we talking about? Like, are we talking about like you have to get property? Because a lot of people, like, they might be born into that, like where their parents got money and they don't have to worry about certain things because their parents may pass money on to them. But let's talk about people who don't have much. Like, what does that mean when, like, what are we talking about? Like, are we talking about 1 time your salary, 2 times your salary, 3 times? What are we talking about here?
So again, it depends on where you are in your career, what is your risk tolerance, and what your age. There are a few things, okay? But again, never invest in just one thing. Never just invest in Bitcoin just because all of your friends are investing in
Dr.
Bitcoin.
Carolyn, Bitcoin is on fire, yo. Come on.
I know, but
Come
don't just
on.
invest in Bitcoin. Also invest in the stock market. If you're a doctor, I know that sounds petty, but I always say if you have a pulse, you need to invest in real estate. And whoever has heard me talk, I always say millions of millionaires have become millionaires because of real estate. Invest in real estate, period. Okay. And I know a lot of people, they're like, no, it's too much headache. No, there's so many ways to invest in real estate. You can have a property, you can do syndication, can do crowdfunding, you can do short-term rentals. There's so many ways.
You can invest in REITs,
REITs.
yes.
So many ways.
Yeah, so there's many ways you can make it happen where you
Yes.
become a property owner. It's
Yes.
not just buying a property and then the whole notion, I don't want to deal with a toilet leak at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not like that, folks. It's not like that at all. Well, let's jump into with you, because I think oftentimes it's not just giving advice. It's like, yo, how do you live your life, right? So you are a dentist. You are in New Hampshire, I believe.
Yes.
Right? Like, what you doing up there anyway? But anyway,
It's cold.
you're in New Hampshire. It's probably like 30, 20 degrees right now. But listen, during the pandemic, technically dentists were not considered essential workers. So sis, how'd you do this? How much savings did you have to go into to make it work?
Oh, I didn't have to do any of that.
Come on, talk to me. I know you had to use savings to pay the mortgage or something because you're not bringing in income. Talk to us.
No, but that's the thing. When you started investing a little bit early, you just enjoy the passive income from tenants. That's what I did. I didn't work for 3 months, minimum 3 months. And I had no worry, really no worry, because I know those tenants were paying. And I have several properties. So they were paying every single month. Every single month I was enjoying, maybe I should say enjoying, but I was relying on the passive income without lifting a finger.
How many properties do you own right now?
6.
Yeah, 6 properties.
Yeah.
So you obviously were not bringing income in from being a dentist during that time because your clinic had to be closed.
We could not work. We were closed.
So you were able to live off of the income or the passive income that you got from.
So I used that
tenants.
income for living expenses, and of course to even reinvest, because the stock market was down at some point. So I went shopping in the stock market.
Oh,
and that's the beauty of it too. Don't just use the passive income to spend. You still want to reinvest the money because your goal is, I guess my goal is generational wealth. So I would still want to have that wealth building up, accumulating.
Okay.
That's
all
what
right.
I
Well,
did.
cool. You put your money where your mouth is. All right. Listen, tell me about Dr. Yu, because I know you use that as an example. So Dr. Yu is a mother of 3, and she was able to pay off exactly $537,875,000. Once again, I'm going to say it again, $537,875,000 of student loan debt in 4 years, right? 4 years.
She beat me.
She almost beat me and Renee, actually, but technically she did because she did it by herself.
Yes.
If this is what you're saying, and she was a mother of 3. So give me very briefly how she was able to do this to pay off almost $550,000 of student loan debt in 4 years. How was she able to do that?
I know a lot of people don't like to hear, but it's mindset. She was focused. She was like, this is what I want to do. She was like, I want to pay this off by the time I'm 40. But she was like,
wait, she didn't pay this up before she was 40?
Yes.
Damn. Okay, keep going.
Yes.
I'm listening. Okay.
So she was like, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, so these are the steps. So I showed her exactly where she could be putting some more money from, where she could be investing to get some more passive income, whether PSLF was good for her, or the loan implement programs she could be using. Because sometimes
what did she use? Did she use PSLF, or did she do normal repayment?
Normal repayment and then refinancing.
So she refinanced her loans also.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Refinancing is a huge thing that I wish I had known right after graduating from dental school. Because even me, I refinanced my loans. I went from 7.9 to 1.9%. People are sleeping on refinancing when they should be refinancing their loans at some point. It helps so
What
much.
was her what was her did you realize when you were talking to her first, what was the major issue at first? Was she not managing her money correctly, or was she just starting to make this money and then like talk to us about how she
She
went
was
from
just starting, but she wasn't sure how to tackle it because 500, even 300 something, that's a lot of debt. She's like, how do I even start tackling all that? And I really showed her exactly this is how much you should be spending towards food and utilities because that's an amount that we shouldn't be going over when it comes
hmm
to food, utilities, mortgages, childcare. But sometimes as doctors, we think that we should,
hmm
but we really shouldn't, especially if we're trying to get out of that. So I pretty much gave her the doctors out of that formula. This is how much money that you should like you shouldn't be spending more of that money towards food, towards utilities, towards transportation, towards childcare, and also put your money to work for you. Other ways to invest. Um, Sometimes, and even for her, I use that too. You can have an office somewhere, and then you can become an NHSC branch, and then you can have students under you that can be NHSC recipient. Do you know what NHSC is?
No, can you explain that, please?
So pretty much that's when you have is the National Health Service Corps,
Okay.
and pretty much you get money from the government too because you work or live in somewhere that's rural. They can give some money. Sometimes it can be $50,000 per month, $75,000 per month. Some people, if it's like in Maine or Vermont, it's going to be higher numbers because people don't really want to be there. But it's something to look into. Definitely, you have to look into that if you can have a facility, a clinic that can become an NHSC branch. If you can become a little hospital and become a location to have NHSC recipients.
Wait,
That's something to
what?
look at.
Oh,
Yes,
snap, yo. This is what I'm talking
yes.
about. This is I like this. All right, cool, cool, cool. So she refinanced, she started paying off her debt and she was
hmm
better with budgeting. What else
hmm
did she do?
And she refinanced, and that's the thing to refinance several times. You don't have to just refinance one time. That's something that's important to know. And your debt to income ratio needs to be low. A lot
Okay.
of lenders are going to tell you 40%. It needs to be as close as possible to 23% to have the best interest rate and to not have to go through a co-signer. Okay.
All right.
So that was a big thing as well.
So explain real
Um,
quick the debt to income ratio.
so pretty much look at your debt and your income. And there's so many, even if you go on nerdwallet.com, they'll tell you if you go on and you type debt to income ratio, and they'll show you exactly how you can calculate that. It's pretty much all of your debt divided by your income. It's going to give you a number. You want that number to be at 40% or less. If you're closer to 23%, even better.
Dr.
Yeah.
Clerisme coming with the knowledge, yo. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, before we send you out here, I got one last question for you. I want you to answer this really quickly. So, when you see folks who work with you, what's the biggest issue when you first start working with them? Is it the debt that's a bigger issue? Is it a budgeting issue? Or is it they're not bringing enough income? Talk to us. What are those? What is the major issue out of those three things?
Budgeting.
Budgeting. Okay. All right. So you
Yes,
either
that's big.
recommend mint.com or using pen and paper or using Excel spreadsheet and just kind of, hey, look, this is what I bring in. This is what my
Yes.
liabilities, and let's try to decrease the amount of liabilities I have and go after that. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. Listen, Dr.
Mhm.
Caroline Clerisme, listen, this was dope. This is great. I love this. If people want to work with you, let's say they want to take your course. Let's say they want to, they see debt as insurmountable and they heard you and they're like, I want to work with her. How do they get in touch with you?
Doctors Out of Debt, doctorsoutofdebt.com. So my course is coming in January 12th, 2022, 10-week program. And so let me say that I'm not tooting my own horn, but
Oh, God. Here we go.
the students have had results while in the program. They did not understand how they could just start paying off the debt, start investing at the same time. So I give them pretty much everything, all of my resources to my accountants, tax people, financial advisors, real estate people, everything. It's amazing, really, and they can really have the steps and clarity to be able to go out, get out of that, and create generational wealth and true generational wealth, not just being flashy, true generational wealth.
Not just having a
Um,
Lamborghini. I got you. Like actually
yeah,
like dying and being able to give like two additional generations your money. I
yes,
got it. I got it.
and
Listen,
have
Dr.
financial peace.
Listen, Dr. Clerisme, this was dope. I appreciate you coming on Docs Outside the Box. I just have one request. If we have some questions from guests who have some questions, will you come back on and answer them in the future?
Sure thing, I will. And in
Love
the
it.
meantime, Doctors Out of Debt on Instagram, Facebook, or doctorsoutofdebt.com.
There it is. Thank you, Dr. Clerisme.
Thank you so much for having me.